Hello everyone, welcome to Kitschy Cabin. Take a seat by the fire, cozy up with a big blanket, and get ready to talk about some plants with me. Because today we are looking at this Happy Houseplant Intuitive Plant Care deck. What is Intuitive Plant Care? I'm not quite sure. Fun fact, I don't actually have any plants. So I just bought these because they looked pretty, which is the reason I buy most things on this channel and most things in my life. So these are supposed to be 50 different cards, each with a different plant, and on the front will be an illustration of the plant, and on the back will be some tips for taking care of that specific plant. We'll take a look at the tips and tricks, but mainly, as always, we're going to be focused on the visuals and how it all looks together as a collection. But before we get into the cards, let's take a look at this box. This is maybe the prettiest box in my whole collection. As you can see, we have some like shiny, I wanted to say holographic, but that's not what that is. It's shiny gold on this box and it's gorgeous, but I love this intricate design. I love the simplicity of just the gold and green color palette. I think it really helps the like shiny gold stand out, and I also really enjoy that it opens like this, because whenever a deck opens like in an unusual way, it just makes me feel very fancy. So first we have a guidebook that comes with it, and then we've got these 50 cards. We'll take a quick look at the guidebook first. So it looks like this is just a quick guidebook on plant care, to accompany the deck itself, with a couple of details about the deck. There's very dramatic formatting here. It's formatted almost like a tarot guidebook, with the black pages and the huge curly font. It's very like, this guidebook has the audacity, and I love it for that. I love that energy. This seems to be the same illustration as the box art, just this one's in color and this one's in gold. So that's a nice little symmetry thing there. Put the guidebook off to the side, and we're going to take a look at the actual cards. I always love when a box has this little thing to help you get the cards out of the box, because I can't tell you how many times I've been trying to show cards on camera, and I have to cut out 2 minutes of me trying to get all the cards out of the box without spilling them everywhere. So right off the bat, and I noticed these when I opened them, these cards are a little curved. It's a little hard to see on camera, but they're a bit bowed. When we look at the bottom of the deck, I think it's a little more noticeable, but we do have sort of a slight like C shape going on, which is not great. That's something you might expect to see over time with cards, especially if they aren't stored properly. But I have to emphasize, like, these are brand new. I took them out of the box off camera, but I just got the package this morning. And they did come pretty noticeably bowed like that. It's cold out, so maybe like in travel they just got a little messed up with, I don't know, temperature or something, but it's not a great sign, quality wise for the cards. I will say, other than the bowing, they're very nice cards. They're not the sturdiest, but they have a really nice like textured feeling here. That's obviously the kind of thing that's hard to show on camera, but they feel good to handle. Before we talk about the cards more in depth, we're going to do a little flip through of every card in the deck. We'll do it with just the front cover art, and then I'll pick out a few of my favorites, and we'll talk about all the art together, how it goes together as a collection, and specific design elements, and all that stuff. But first, here we go. It's hard to pick out just a few to talk about, but I'm going to try and pick a few. I will say right off the bat, while we're going through these again, these are all beautiful. I love this art style. I love the sort of thin lines and bright colors. Maybe I'm just saying this because I'm looking at one right now that has a vinyl record on it, but it feels sort of retro. The very vibrant colors make it feel very inviting, for all of these cards. And all of the intricate details and very detailed line work makes every scene feel very alive. You have a really good mixture of like intricate intricate line art with big, inviting shapes, and it makes every scene feel really alive, especially with the addition of like really bright, vibrant colors like this. Every card feels unique, every card feels like a scene rather than just a drawing. But even though all of them feel really unique, they all still have this common art style, this common use of bright, inviting, friendly colors that make it feel like a complete, unified deck. And that is what I love. That is one of my must-haves for any deck I look at, is like, can you take two random cards and know that they're from the same deck? And with this, you absolutely can. Like, just as an example, this card and this card I would say are fairly different. This one's mostly just focused on the plant, whereas this one we have a whole scene going on. There's kind of a similar color palette, but still we have a lot more warm tones in this and a lot more cool tones in this one. But even with those differences, you look at these two and there's a unified message. There's a very similar just energy. The similar bordering on all of the cards really adds to that as well, where like, it's not distracting, but it's nice and clean, and it helps you know that these are all from the same deck. It helps them all feel connected, even when the illustrations can be very, very different. You know, these two are another example where I feel like these are two very different cards. In the composition, in the line art too, I feel like we have a lot more small, detailed line art here, whereas this one's a little bit more shape-based and such. But even with that card border again, and that common art style, and that use of color, it all feels very unified and organized, and it feels like it's part of a collection. And I love, love, love too, you see this with a ton of cards in this deck. I love when the artist will break just past the canvas with some illustrations, so we can see these leaves in these hanging pots going a little bit past the border, and then these leaves on, I think it's called Dracania. On the Dracania, they're even peeking up to the white a little bit, and again, peeking past that border, growing past it. Here's another example with the birds. We have the bird's tail. We have a couple more leaves doing that. And whenever an artist does that, you know, reaches past the limits of the canvas and has the art reach just a little bit past everything else in the scene, it makes it feel so much more alive. It gives us the sense that things are going on beyond the drawing. This isn't just a scene. This isn't just a single illustration. This is a whole world, and we're getting a peek into this world. I love when artists do that. I love when they do it in card decks, and I love it done here. You see it done in so many cards in this deck, and it's so well done every time. It's just a great tool to invite a viewer into your art and into the world beyond your art. And we haven't even talked about the back of the cards yet. So here on the front, we have the illustration of the plant, the genus of the plant, and then we flip it around, and we got the full scientific name of the plant along with the common name. So this is the Christmas cactus. We've got Christmas lights, we have gingerbread cookie down here. We've got a little Christmas mug. So if you are a plant owner and you're just flipping through these, trying to find like a winter-oriented plant, then you could look at this cover illustration and you could see like, oh, Christmas stuff, wintry stuff, I should pick this one up. And that's just good, man. That's just good graphic design. That's good visual storytelling. We can see the common name of the plant, Christmas cactus, a little description of it, native to the coastal mountains of Brazil. Not even gonna try and pronounce it. Are forest rather than desert cacti. The different species of holiday cacti look very similar, but their flat, leaf-like segments have slightly different shapes. Thanksgiving cacti bloom from late fall through midwinter, Christmas cacti from early to midwinter, and Easter cacti from late winter to mid-spring. And then we have some helpful little tips here. So we can see here, and we have this on all the cards, a suggestion for what light to keep the plant in, what kind of soil to plant it in, how often we water it, and what we should do about cuttings. As I said earlier, I'm not like super duper plant enthusiast, so I'm not going to be hugely familiar with all these terms, but I can say from my very limited knowledge, this looks helpful. It also says pet safe on this one, so that's good to know. I got a little kitty cat, so if I were to get a Christmas cactus, it would be good to know that he would not die if he ate it, because that's the reason I don't have plants now. It's because he likes to eat plants. So I'm wondering now, this is the ponytail palm, and it seems like the back of this one is red, back of this one is green, so I'm not sure, maybe these are color-coded by season? The coloring may just be an aesthetic choice. Let's turn back to the guidebook and try to figure it out in there. So I missed this earlier, but it does have that pet safety warning in the guidebook as well, and it tells you which ones are pet safe, which ones are toxic, and which ones are poisonous. At first I thought maybe the red cards were poisonous or toxic, but this is a red card that's pet safe, so I'm not sure. Oh, okay, here we go. The cards in this deck are separated into two categories based on their native environments. So the green cards are in a tropical climate, and the red cards are in a desert climate, and you can tell that by the color on the back of the card. So this is the prayer plant, and it's green, so it's in a tropical climate usually. We can also see here that it's pet safe. And then this is the prickly pear, and it's red, so we can tell it's usually in a desert climate. And once again, this one is pet safe. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was going to be in the guidebook because you sort of have at the beginning here a little bit about the cards themselves, but everything after that is like light, water and humidity, soil and nutrients. So most of the guidebook is just about plant care in general and not necessarily about using the cards. But yeah, that's interesting. I love me a color-coded deck. I love a color-coded deck. Love organization. I don't love being organized, but I love when other people do it for me. Let's talk a little bit more about the cards themselves and the sort of physical quality of them. Again, I really like the material here. It's hard to see on camera, but it's a little textured, a little raised. They feel really nice to handle, a little easier to grip, if that makes sense, than your average playing card. Very tarot card-esque material, not as tough as tarot cards, I would say. A little flimsier than most tarot cards I've seen. My biggest complaint, like I said earlier, is this like slight bowing. I know that it's hard to see on camera, but I think when you have them all together in a deck, I'm not pressing in on the middle there. That's just how they naturally fall. They're naturally very bowed. And like I said, I took these out of the box this morning. So I don't know if they got a little messed up in the, winter climate, doing some travel. I don't know if maybe they just came like this, but all I can say is that when they got to me, they were just like this as soon as I took them out of the box. It probably seems like not a huge deal, and it's not a huge deal, but it's just kind of a disappointing mark on what is otherwise a fantastic, beautiful deck. So the size of these cards, they're not like huge. They're not as big as like the Therapets deck that we opened a little while back. Those, I thought they were going to be playing card sized, and then I opened them up and they were like this wide. So they were huge. But these are bigger than like your average playing cards. I'll just put as an example. Here's a playing card from my Alice in Wonderland deck next to one of our Happy Houseplants cards. So it's quite a bit bigger, but they're not huge. They're still, I think, a good size and very easy to handle. And I think, again, talking about using these practically, if you were a plant owner, I think these would be a really good size to like prop up next to one of your house plants. Maybe prop up the backside, and then you can just take a quick look at all of the care instructions if you ever got confused or something. So yeah, these are pretty huge, but I think in this case it works in their favor. And they're not so huge that they seem impossible to handle. I'd like to shuffle all the cards I get just to see how easy they are to shuffle. I don't know what practical reason you would ever have to shuffle these cards. Like these are plant care tips and stuff. I don't know why anyone but me would shuffle them, but I'm gonna shuffle them anyway. Just to see. So yeah, these are a little difficult to shuffle. I don't know if it's the stiffer material or the like slight bowing or what. Maybe it's just the size. Maybe it's just because I'm bad at shuffling, because I am. But these aren't super easy to shuffle, but again, I'm not sure what practical reason you would have to shuffle these. So I don't think that's a big deal. So final thoughts on these cards: very beautiful, very cohesive as a collection. One thing is I kind of wish that we had the common names of the plants on the front as well. You have the genus of the plant on the front, but then you have to flip to the back to see like this is zebra cactus. I do think having that common name on the front would make things a little easier. All in all, I loved this deck. I am still a little disappointed about that bowing in the cards as soon as we opened it, but I'm gonna overlook that because these are so beautiful and they're such detailed illustrations and they go together so well as a collection. Thank you for watching. I hope we see you at the cabin again next week. And let me know what your favorite of these plants was. For me, it's kind of a toss-up. They're all extremely ridiculously beautiful. And I think if I had to pick, my favorite card was probably either this one, which is the Fancy Leaf Palladium, or this one, which is the Satin Pothos and Golden Pothos? Plants are confusing, man. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to water your jade plant. Don't forget to water your jade plant.